There's a detail in Chinese behavior that most people in the West have never noticed, but it explains why this culture manages to build wealth, discipline, and power in silence, while the rest of the world spends its energy trying to look successful. And I'm going to tell you exactly what it is in the first few seconds, because this information is worth your time. The Chinese, in their traditional culture, avoid showing off their achievements. While most people post about new cars, expensive trips, imported watches, chasing instant validation, the old Chinese mindset preaches the opposite. Whoever shows off loses power. Whoever holds back accumulates strength. This isn't just a social custom. It's an ancient psychological strategy, and understanding it can completely change the way you manage your life, your money, and your image. Let's get straight to the point. There's a very old Chinese concept called low profile, high competence. The core idea is simple. You work twice as hard, but you appear to do half as much. Why does this work so well psychologically? Because exposure creates a target. When you show that you're rising, you attract envy, competition, and sabotage. When you hide your progress, no one sees you as a threat, and that gives you total freedom to grow without artificial obstacles created by other people. Picture a simple scene. Two men work at the same company. One of them talks every day about the plans he has, the projects he's going to do, how much he's evolving. The other says nothing. He just works. 6 months later, the first one is still in the same place, because he spent his psychological energy talking instead of acting, and he even became a target for comparison and criticism. The second one, without anyone noticing, has already made a huge leap. This is the Chinese logic applied to everyday life. Silent action beats loud promises. Now comes the deeper part of this, which is purely psychological. When you announce a goal before achieving it, your brain releases a sense of reward just from the social recognition you get from talking about it. There's a name for this in psychology: premature gratification of identity. You already feel like the guy who's changing his life, just from saying it out loud, and your brain relaxes, because it has already received part of the emotional reward that should have come from the actual result. This reduces your motivation to finish what you started. That's why so many people announce projects, diets, businesses, and then quietly give up, without anyone ever calling them out on it, because the audience already congratulated them and moved on with their lives. The Chinese traditionally avoid this trap. They understand, even without citing any study, that talking consumes the same mental energy as acting. That's why they prefer to keep the project to themselves, execute it in silence, and only show it once the result is ready and impossible to question. This creates a devastating psychological effect on whoever is watching. The feeling that this person was always 10 steps ahead, without anyone realizing it. Another point few people talk about is the Chinese relationship with strategic humility. This isn't weak humility, the kind that diminishes yourself. It's calculated humility, from someone who understands that appearing less competent than you really are opens doors, avoids conflicts, and disarms rivals. In a negotiation, for example, the side that seems more desperate or more eager to show strength usually loses bargaining power. Whoever stays calm, speaks little, and lets the other side reveal their cards first, almost always comes out ahead. This is still present today in Chinese business practices, where important decisions are made with extreme caution, without emotional displays, and silence is used as a tool to control the conversation. This connects directly to another pillar of this mindset: patience as a form of power. In the West, culture pushes for immediate results. You want to lose weight in 30 days. You want to get rich in a year. You want fame now. The constant pressure for speed creates anxiety, bad decisions, and early quitting. The traditional Chinese view works in decades, not months. Families plan the future of their children, and even their grandchildren. This long-term vision completely changes how a person deals with failure. An obstacle that would feel like the end of the world to someone thinking short-term becomes just a small detail within a 20-year plan. This drastically reduces stress and increases consistency because the person isn't competing against time, they're just following their own pace. And here comes a direct lesson you can apply today. Stop announcing what you're going to do. Start announcing only what you've already done. This simple change in behavior already reorganizes your mental energy. Instead of seeking approval in advance, you start seeking real results because you know you'll only speak once the work is done. This creates automatic discipline because silence becomes an internal form of accountability. You don't have the escape valve of premature social approval, so you're forced to follow through to the end. Another practical lesson comes from how the Chinese treat money. Traditionally, spending visibly is seen as a weakness of character, not as success. Whoever accumulates wealth without flaunting it is seen as wise. Whoever spends everything just to show status is seen as someone with no control over their own impulses. This view is completely opposite to the logic of today's social media, where flaunting wealth is treated as a sign of victory. But psychologically, whoever lives while keeping their resources hidden faces less social pressure to maintain an artificial lifestyle, and that reduces debt, financial anxiety, and the constant need to compete with others. If you've noticed, all these points connect to one central idea. Real power doesn't need a stage. Once you understand this, you stop competing for other people's attention and start competing only against your own past self. You stop spending mental energy defending an image and start using all that energy to build something solid. The question that remains is simple. How many times have you revealed a plan too early just to feel that instant approval, and then lost the drive to finish it? And how many times have you kept something to yourself, worked on it in silence, and felt a much stronger satisfaction when you finally showed the finished result? This is the psychological difference that drives an entire culture towards silent, steady growth. It's not luck, it's not genetics, it's a mental strategy applied every single day, in the form of speaking little, acting a lot, and letting the results speak for themselves. If this content made you think differently, this is just the beginning. Stay tuned, because the next part will show you exactly how to apply this same principle in your own routine, without needing to change who you are, just changing how you show what you're already building.